What was the first Sata gun that you had?
NR95. It's tattooed on my body.
Is it?
Yeah.
Can you show us?
No, I do literally have to drop my pants.
Can you send us pictures, or we can show them later?
Maybe.
All right.
Just depends on how much beer we're going to drink.
All right, welcome back, everybody. No Alexander, Charles Cruz, and today we have Jim Kvadik.
Wow.
Did I get
on
it?
the first time.
I'm pretty fucking
Podcast
awesome.
version.
Yeah.
Version.
Jim.
Live and in charge.
Jim works for Dan Am. He is the Eastern Regional Sales and Training Rep. As a mouthful.
Yes.
As is Jim. I can't say that on the show.
Wow. Wow. He
Sorry.
went there.
Yeah.
It's
You
Friday.
guys were in the bathroom earlier. I get it now.
Anyway, we've known Jim for a few years now. He's helped us out with what we need help with, which is spray guns.
Spray guns. And
Sata spray guns.
Yes.
And Dan Am has been the importer for Sata since when?
1981.
All right.
When did Sata actually produce their first paint gun?
1925.
1925.
It was called a Leschler.
Jim is into hockey, beer,
Hockey, beer.
MotoGP, Formula One,
Cars.
cats. No, that was the
Unicorns?
last guy.
Not cats.
Unicorns.
Unicorns. Definitely unicorns.
Traveling, which he gets to do a lot of as part of his job, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're stuck here in this trailer in Jefferson County.
Right.
It's nice. I'm glad you took the wheels off of it.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
People kept
We're
trying
waiting
to
for
steal
skirting. We don't have skirting yet. You can see our frame.
That's all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your plumbing's hanging a little low, though.
Yeah. We try to cover that up with cinder blocks, but you can only
The blue tarps are working for now.
Yeah.
It's
And-
classy in
Yeah.
a certain way.
keeps out the water. So, anyway, thanks for coming in, Jim.
Thank you.
So as we conversation flows pretty easy with Jim, so we're just gonna roll with it
This is
and see.
frightening.
So this is your first time on a podcast,
It is
right?
my
Let's
first
start
time on a
off there.
podcast. Yeah. I think I've listened to 2, so this ought to be interesting.
And we're hoping nobody listens because
Yeah.
we don't, actually.
They might see me sweating if they listen.
So tell us, how did you get into this business of selling spray equipment? Were you a house painter and then you started selling?
The addiction, my mother says the addiction started when I was about 4 years old.
Yeah.
I stole all of my stepdad's aerosol cans out of the garage, and I just started painting stuff. And it hasn't stopped since.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a family business when we moved back to Pennsylvania where we built horse trailers and truck bodies.
Yeah.
And started out acid bathing trailers, then moved into hot plating enamels. And that's oh so safe when you're 9 years old.
Like Dulux enamel? Dulux?
No, not on the Dulux side. So we did some Centauri and some other
Okay.
stuff. So basically whatever he could buy, my dad bought, and we were golden. But after annoying him for some time, he put a siphon feed gun in my hand, and I just could spray. So, and that just kind of pushed out from there. I've been spraying for well over 30 years now.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's
You're
scary.
older than me.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm just living proof that there are no laws for child labor in
Right.
family business.
Yeah,
so
exactly,
that's
yeah.
all.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's a loophole.
Yeah, that's right.
It's okay.
So, but no, it was kind of cool. I started in a collision shop. I actually I didn't go to school for anything. I actually was too scared to go to school to be a collision tech, and started out in a collision shop as a prepper. Worked my way up to painter, managing. Left that shop, went on to be a body tech at another shop. And just kept moving around. God put toolboxes on wheels for a reason, right?
Right.
That was my motto
Yeah.
for a while, and I just kept pushing to know more and learn more, and pretty soon it led to the opportunity to go to a competitive paint company, to BASF. We got to throw that plug in there, but I went to work.
Hi, Tina.
Hi, Tina.
Hi, Tina.
Yeah.
We love you. Have fun in Dallas. I went to work for PPG as a technical trainer for 10 years, and I
Okay.
ran a training center for them, and really started out on the collision stuff, then started working more and more with the customization and restoration
Right.
shops, and that's where I really kind of fell into love with painting again, was working with you guys.
Yeah.
So that's the quick 10-cent version of my story. But
How long have you been with Dan Am?
with Dan Am, I've been with Dan Am for a little better than 2 years, almost two and a half years now.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've known those guys for several years. In fact, when I started with PPG, I got to know my boss now, Tony Larimer, right away. He came out and helped me figure things out with Sata, because Sata was transitioning really out of the 2000s into the 3000s
Yeah.
at that time. And so for me, it was one of those things that that his help really meant a lot because he taught me a ton. And every day's a new learning experience in this industry. So I dug it, and we kept up that relationship. I worked with other gun manufacturers and whatnot at different levels, but Sata just was that brand that I knew I could pick it up, and anything I want to do with a spray gun, I can do with it.
I've used Satas for over 20 years, and it's like you can't go wrong with that gun, right? And it's like in your position, it's a pretty easy product to sell, right?
Right.
I mean, the stuff, it works.
Yeah. The Germans don't like me saying it, I guess. I don't know, maybe. It's the AK-47 of spray guns.
Yeah.
It just keeps working, right? You throw it in the mud, do whatever, and you beat them up, and they just keep working. They're so well built. And after having the chance to go over to the factory and see what it is that makes a Sata, I don't know how you could not like that gun. So it's still a small business. It's a family-owned business. There's less than 250 employees on campus. Yeah. So they produce about 1,000 spray guns a day.
And do they embrace engineering the way the rest of the Germans stereotypically embrace engineering?
Yeah, Stuttgart really is that engineering capital area. So Kornwestheim is a suburb of Stuttgart, and so the relationships with Porsche, which I'm so glad that he didn't ask me for a phaser yet. So I've been waiting for Charles to ask for a phaser, but yeah. So the relationship with Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, Bosch, there's a lot of great relationships with all those companies within that area. But everything is, when you start talking about tolerances of less than 0.0001 micron, you're getting pretty serious about things.
Right,
right. Yeah, accuracy and consistency is a must.
What was the first Sata gun that you had?
NR95. It's tattooed on my body.
Is it?
Yeah.
Can you show us?
No, I do literally have to drop my pants.
Can you send us pictures so we can show them later?
Maybe.
All right.
Just depends on how much beer we're going to drink.
All right, talking about beer, again, Jim is at the beer, so what are we drinking today, Jim?
Right there you have a Voodoo Double IPA. It's a brew with another company that, for the life of me, I losing the name, but it's called Sky Rat. Voodoo's out of Meadville, PA. They're just great brewers. Their barrel age program's unreal. Pretty much anything they think of doing that's out of this world.
We'll try.
Yeah. And so we also have one that's known as Lacto Cooler. This is the red Lacto Cooler. So we're going to get that popping sound. But when you smell this and see it, it looks like red Kool-Aid.
Wow.
So
sweet.
It's a Berliner.
So how do they actually put Kool-Aid in this? Is that a dumb question? Sorry, beer people.
Yeah. So really, the guys at Voodoo will not say how they did this, but one can imagine. You brew the beer, you sour the beer, you put the Kool-Aid or whatever powder you're putting in, candy, let it ferment out with it. And so the fermentation process eats the sugars, but you're left with the flavor.
I smell Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I'm waiting to drink to see if anyone spits on me.
Ooh, that's good.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man.
Yeah, that doesn't even drink like a beer.
No.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's red fruit punch. So, no, for those that can't see, Noah's eyes are bugging out.
Wow. Is this a beer that's hard to get? Some of these things are like few and far between.
It's in a song, isn't it? Microphone smells like a beer.
Microphone smells like a beer. This beer, there's only been one run of this version. They did a green apple version. They did a grape Kool-Aid version. So normally most of this stuff is one and done.
Right.
So which makes it nice. It's always evolving.
Sure.
And that's the fun part about beer right now, especially in the craft world. There's so much different beer and things are moving so fast. If you stop to drink something more than one time, you might miss something.
That's what Noah and I are doing with the distillery. Experimenting, right?
Right.
It's fun. It's like
if
you would have asked us like 2 or 3 years ago, hey, are you guys gonna own a distillery? We would have laughed, But we've had a good time with it so far.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you can make something one time.
Right.
If it's beer, you can it up or whatever you want to do, or we'll bottle it up and sell it, and people come back. They want to see what you're going to do next.
Absolutely, and that's the cool part is your local guys doing it.
Yeah.
And nothing against big business, but it's when you've got that creative nature of people.
Right.
You can't help but want to cheer that on and work with it and taste it. Noah's eyes are like really freaking me out right now off this. I think we uber surprised him with the taste of this.
Wow.
Yeah.
It gets you right here.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've never had anything like it.
Yeah. It's, so it's, some people will tell you it's probably not beer, and I don't care. It's a sour Berliner Weiss, but it's another person's interpretation of how to push the envelope. Yeah. And it's just like cars, right? We're always pushing that envelope and trying to do something more. And these guys are the same way, that same creativity. Yeah.
I'm impressed.
How are we doing so far?
Very good.
We're doing
Very
good.
You're doing great.
We're doing awesome.
Don't ask about the history of beer. We don't want to go there. we don't have
we don't have time for that.
We can always go back to the history of beer. So do you get to travel a lot with Dan Am and Sata?
Yep. So I cover everything east of the Mississippi for the most part. I just got a special dispensation to come see you guys today. But typically I'm east of the Mississippi from the Canadian border all the way to Puerto Rico.
Oh.
And then since being with Dan Am, I think I've been over to Germany 4 times to the factory and working over there and whatnot. So that's a special.
You've got to help a little bit in some development too, right?
Yeah, the 5500. The Germans are really good with trying to collect as much information as possible. Yeah. So they brought the 55 over is it looked like a 5000.
Yeah.
We didn't know it. And did a lot of spraying, a lot of feedback. It's kind of interesting when you spray. I think on the first go around was like 75 different guns that they made us spray and analyze and give personal feedback on. And then you play the game of find the gun. So there's always that control in there that's a gun that you're familiar with, and are you really that in tune to find that gun? And I've got that uncanny knack to be able to find that gun per se, and it's kind of funny like that. But again, it goes back to how long we've been spraying with Satas. Right. I mean, I've got almost 20 years with Satas now, in just using them and now working with them, and so I know what I like. I know what the feel is. I'm just comfortable with it. So when I get that in my hand, it's like, ooh.
Well, I'm sitting there going through my head, like, of all the Satas I've sprayed with, like the characteristics of a 90 and a 95 and a Sata B and a 2000. And they all had like these little things that you just knew about them, right?
Right.
So,
And I can, I still have a collection at home of spray guns that's over 100 spray guns.
Wow.
I have a guy in Seattle, Washington, Dave Zamora, that he's kicking my butt right now in the classics, though. He's been fishing guns out of Europe, and he's a great guy, but he is so addicted to it right now. And he'll tell you that a lot of it was driven from seeing my collection. Yeah. And he's like, ooh, what's that gun? How'd you get that? And a lot of my guns, I'll actually I'll go to a shop and I'll get to talking to a guy and he'll pull it out of his collection and he'll say, well, this was my very first spray gun, or this is my first Sata. And it's like, well, what are you doing with it now? And after they tell you the story of how they made a living with that gun, now I want that gun. And so we work out deals or whatever to obtain somebody's personal gun. And so I've put a lot of people's first guns into my collection. And it's as much collecting that story of that person as it is collecting the gun itself, which is kind of
I got a pretty crazy story about a paint gun. Okay. This is I've got my first gun, right?
Yeah.
First Sata. You know what I want to do with it?
What?
When I'm gone, cremate me, put my ashes in my cup, put me on the mantle.
Excellent.
Isn't that cool?
Excellent.
That's my urn.
That's my urn. That's my urn.
As long as one of the kids doesn't think it's bong, you're safe.
Right. They'll make a bong out of anything.
Paint dried up. I guess we add water to it so we can spray it.
Right.
I thought you were going to say put you in like a lacquer paint job or something.
No, I don't want that.
I like that idea.
That'd be kind of fun.
Why does it look kind of cloudy right now? Yeah, it's Charles.
Yeah. Well, this is true.
Right.
After spending the day with him, I totally understand. Yeah. That's cool. So what was your first Sata gun?
Sata B.
A Jet B.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I've got Clay Cook's Sata Jet Bs. I obtained them from a friend that had helped take care of his property, and those two guns are like super special to me.
Yeah.
Knowing that man used those guns, and being a fan of the things that Clay was able to do in this industry.
Guy,
yeah. So those are cool. And then I've got a guy that from North Carolina that we started out on the wrong foot within the relationship, and by the time I walked out, he gave me his very first, which was a Jet B siphon gun.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen one of those in the States, which was really cool. So, yeah, that's.
I remember I had I had like a Banks number 7 that I first like.
Why do you have to swear at me?
No, it's like I was messing around with one and I was like, this gun sucks, but everybody thought that was good at the time. And then I tried a Sata B and I'm like, oh yeah, this is how it's supposed to be.
Right.
And I was hooked. And then every time a new gun would come out, I'd buy 3 or 4 of them, because I was weird. I didn't want to mix. Right. I had like one for solid colors, one for metallic, one for clear,
Yeah. First time I put my hands on a Jet 100 BF, their primer sealer gun, I'm just sitting there going, why has nobody thought of this before? Yeah. Why is Sata the one? Okay, wait, it's Sata. And it's so hard now. Everybody's like, well, you ought to try this, you ought to try that. Even in our own line, they'll deviate out and try to spray products like sealers and whatnot with them. And I'm like, I'm okay. This gun is perfection. When you pull the trigger, you just know what you have in your hand, and it's just it's just cool.
Remember, DeVilbiss had this gun they brought out, and I called it the garden hose. It was
the OMX.
The OMX. Yeah, it was even OMX. Green. Yes. It was green. It was plastic.
Yep. They even had a pressure version of it.
Yeah, you could water your grass with it if you wanted to.
It had 2 triggers and an adjustable nozzle on it, so you could change the orifice size.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was so futuristic. And then you could use Ziploc bags to put your clear coat in, and it had a little button piece that you jammed a stick down in, and it would lock it into the bottom of the cup.
Yep.
Yeah. I might be a little bit of a paint gun geek. I don't know.
I didn't have it in the description here. I have beer.
I talked you right into that one.
Yeah, you did. You did. I do remember those.
You thought you were going to talk about beer the whole time.
No.
You really lucked out.
Yeah, wow. This has gotten way off of Noah's track, so he's got all these other cool notes written down.
No, I told you we can.
Yeah.
This is unstructured. Yeah. We'll just
go
with it.
Noah needs some more beer. Look, he's empty.
Yeah.
We finished this off.
Well,
so
now he's got his Sky Rat.
Wow, that's delicious.
Right? That's a lawnmower beer right there.
Lawnmower beer?
Yeah, that's a lawnmower beer. You could just crush it all day long in a hot day. Yep. Now this one is a double IPA. So
not for mowing the lawn?
No, it's...
I'm going to fall over when I'm whacking the weeds?
Yeah, it just depends on how sharp are the blades. So whether to drink this beer with it or not. So I like doubles. They've got enough hop to them, but they've got a nice malty flavor to them, and they're just evenly balanced. So most people that say they'll not drink a hoppy beer, I'll start them out on a double IPA, and they'll fall right in.
I like hoppy beers.
I like hoppy beers too.
This
more
shit,
hop, the
though,
better.
Is off the hook.
Yeah. So in other words, when I get more lacto coolers, I have to share with my friend Noah.
Yeah, you should send something our way.
We'll drink it.
Yeah.
So
we'll send rum to you.
Okay.
And you send us beer.
Gee. And I told you earlier I wasn't much of a rum drinker, but the
you
samples
like
I got to partake, yes, and I like how it stayed with me for a while too. You know, the flavors really stuck with
That's because we mix it with gasoline.
Excellent, and just like every meth lab should.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So,
well, it's hard to. These trailers aren't that airtight.
Yeah.
So,
No.
You know.
Yeah. When the wind blows, you know, it's
if it doesn't work well, we're just going to sell it as like a fuel additive. You know, people don't want it for rum.
Yeah. Alky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Going back to the alky.
We're trying to figure out we can make anything run on the
heads
on the on the run.
Gasohol. Remember the old Gasohol days?
We're trying to think how we could actually use that to our advantage besides just having a little engine that ran on you know,
right.
What is about 105 octane.
So are you going to bring a whole new meaning to Rum Runner?
We keep trying to. We're going to figure something out.
Something we are going to do that's pretty cool. We're going to barrel up some rum.
Okay.
And we're going to mount it in the back of Tiffany.
Oh, nice.
And we're going to go on the power tour.
Oh, absolutely.
And then
I want to be a part of that.
When it's all said and done, we'll come back. We'll bottle that stuff up.
Yeah.
And we'll sell it. So we'll have like 100 bottles.
Yeah.
Of rum.
I think we could probably sell it while we're on the power tour.
So
pre-sell, yeah.
Well, it's got to have a high proof too. Then, if it's going to be a power tour, it's got to be a power pour, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. Power pour rum
with notes of burning rubber.
Yeah, ooh, wow. Ooh, yeah. As long as you keep the whole toast thing away from it, though, please.
Yeah. Right.
Don't do that again.
Oh yeah, that was disgusting.
That was bad.
It wasn't bad.
That was really. It was really bad.
So we can tell Noah's taste versus your taste.
Yeah.
You'll eat anything, is what I heard.
Pretty much
with notes of unburnt gasoline.
Yeah. Ethanol.
It's that ethanol finish.
Not really what I want. Yeah, I'm not a parquet kind of guy. So. Oh man.
Moving on the double IPA. Oh, there you go.
Double IPA.
Is that
same one as you?
One.
Yep.
Right.
Sky Rat.
So I can drink this whole thing.
Yeah, that's yours. Welcome to.
This is wonderful.
Welcome to Meadville, Pennsylvania, in St. Louis.
So do you live in Pennsylvania?
I live in Pennsylvania.
For some reason, I thought you lived in Minnesota.
No,
I made that up.
Dan Am's in Minnesota.
All right,
the Minnesota
all right,
plates
all right.
in the car. Yeah.
I don't even remember seeing the car, but for some reason I was like, he's
oh,
from
you
Minnesota.
eyeballed my car earlier.
Did I?
Yeah, you were
See?
like, whose car is that? Me. Yeah.
There's not a lot of parking spots around here, so I take those spots. If there's a random car in there,
yeah,
I
you're
get
sensitive
angry.
about it. Yeah.
Wow.
Your tires are flat right now.
I'm sure.
I didn't mean to do that.
He's just wanting to sell me another set of tires. And
We just happen to have a set of those here, brand new.
I was about to have this F-150 towed the other day. Turns out it was my business partner's sister's. What the fuck is that here? We need a spot. Anyway, it's just embarrassing.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll take half of this one. You can try this one too.
Sweet,
this is the
thanks.
best brewery in Tennessee called Bearded Iris. So Scatterbrain. It's another double. They're bad people there. So
have you ever made any beer yourself?
Yeah. A bonus side is I have nephews that love home brewing, so I go tell them. Yeah, I go tell them what to do, and but more so I go drink their beer and then I forget about brewing the beer. So I'm a terrible brewer. It's a friend of mine out in Utah. He told me if he ever opens up a brewery, he wants me to come work for him and work the front because I'll talk to everyone, and that's what he doesn't want to do.
Right.
You know?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a painter for a reason. I don't want to be out in the spotlight. He's like, I'll go back, I'll brew, and he brews award-winning beer. And especially in Utah, which is really hard because you can only brew like 36 ounces at a time.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah.
What?
They got super weird laws in Utah for home brewing.
36 ounces?
Yeah.
Oh, for home brewing.
For home brewing.
Yeah.
Still, though.
Yeah, so.
That's just the night getting started there.
Right.
How are you going to...
Yeah, so I don't know where he brews his beer at, but
Uh-huh.
he brews some pretty epic beer, and he paints some really badass hot rods. So that's Court Sessions is his name. So yeah, I'll name drop. I'm okay with that.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You can name drop.
He's a good egg. So I've been pretty blessed with both my last two, this job and my last one, getting to know a lot of the custom car builders and whatnot. And, you know, you look at all of this stuff in the magazines, and you get those heroes per se, and then next thing you know, you're sitting in a car show and you get one of these guys comes up and says, "Hey, what's up, a-hole?" You know, and it's pretty friggin' epic that here I am. I'm a part of their lives and part of this world, and it's every day I sit back going, holy shit, this is how did this happen to a dumb guy from Marion Center, Pennsylvania? And I was shooting groundhogs one day, and all of a sudden I'm shooting cars, and now I'm hanging out and shooting the breeze with badass car builders like Bobby Alloway.
On a
podcast that I never thought I'd ever be on.
That's one of the best parts about this industry. I think everybody's really accessible, and it seems like they're not going to be.
Right.
But that's far from the truth, right?
No, just get out to the car shows and talk to them. And, you know, you may not be able to call a guy while he's in a shop, but you got to understand he's busy, he's under pressure, he's got timelines. But when you get out to the car shows and you get people walking around asking questions, everybody's accessible. You know, the Alan Johnsons, he's always at his trailer. Bobby Alloway, he's always right there. And he's willing to talk to you and tell you, well, this is why we did.
Troy's always around,
Yeah, another great one, you know. Jonathan Goolsby, a young up and coming guy in the industry. You know, we were just talking earlier about Alabama. We'd spend 45 minutes talking about all the builders in Alabama.
What's up with Alabama?
Yeah. Is it in the water or something?
I don't know what's going on.
All the cool hot rods go there to die. Reborn.
Yeah.
Pet cemetery for cars, I guess. Yeah. But there's so many greats out there, and it's just all you got to do is just want to get out and talk to them, and they'll get you going. That's for sure. So. It's cool to meet the greats, though, and you know, it's having gotten to shake Bill Carter's hand as painters. Art Himsel, you know, spend a little time talking to Art and whatnot. Those guys, they're not going to be around forever. We just lost Bill earlier this year, and I'm glad at what I got to have with him. I just wish I'd have had more time around the guy, because as a race car painter and a custom painter, second to none.
Yeah.
But then you see offshoots of him in like Danny D. Jeffy, Bugs, those guys, you know, doing the lowrider scene right now. Man, they're killing it, and I don't care what paint guns they use. They're just, you know, they're super talented people, and they're great people on top of that.
Yeah.
So makes it fun. Yeah. So there you go.
Did you see last year at SEMA? Did you go to SEMA last year?
I was stuck in a paint booth.
Yeah.
Well,
So
not
tell
a paint
us-
booth. Our booth.
We're not going to talk about your outfit.
Yeah, I was trying to talk you into to tell us about your outfit, but we'll sidestep from that.
Hold on. Hold
Hang
off.
on.
Yeah.
Did you see there was like a 58 Impala?
No.
It was like chrome painted.
Oh, it was the
all
engraved
engraved.
one. Yeah. Yeah, they engraved it, and then they
That's
shot
like
it.
a whole nother level of crazy.
That car, I think it came out of Japan.
Japan.
Yes,
I went over and tried to talk to the guy.
Yeah.
It didn't go so well. We had a
Charles
barrier.
really does not speak a bit of Japanese.
I tried.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
I was
it
pretty
was
disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
He just like pointed to a monitor like that showed
Yeah.
him working on the car. I'm like, okay, I get it. Yeah, I watched it.
Because I think he had a 350Z there also. Or a 370Z.
Maybe.
That also had some engraving on it. It was pretty solid work. Yeah, it's things like that.
But what's cool is like when you go there, you see all these new things, right?
Yeah.
And like certain levels of craftsmanship that are just like out of this world.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I personally, it's not my thing necessarily, but I can appreciate it. I walked up to that car and looked at it, I'm thinking, how many hours did this possibly take? You know, thousands of hours. Just
that's the stuff that always draws you, and it's not necessarily the thing you're into,
right?
Yeah.
But it's the thing that pulls you from across the room,
right,
and blows you out of the water.
If you're into cars, period,
right,
you can't sit back and look at a car. If you go, oh, that's not me,
right?
No, you're not really a car guy, right?
No.
You should sit back and go, okay, well, I see where they were going with that. And it was funny. One of my mentors, Paul Stoll, the one day we were sitting in at a vocational school, a post-secondary school. We walked out and I looked and I'm like, ooh, they missed a mark on that one. And Paul looked at me and he goes, no, never say that. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, listen, you don't know who did that. That's maybe their first paint job. Right. And maybe you just look at it and go, I see where they were trying to go.
Yeah.
And appreciate it for what it is. Don't tear it apart. And I'm sitting back going, wow, I'm such a heel. And it kind of changed my mind on a lot of things. And it's now you see them and it may not be my style, but at least somebody got out of a chair and went and did it, and they put their best foot forward.
In today's age, right, where we're trying to get young guys out of like their room playing video games and into cars and things like that. It's like you have to be open-minded. And that's why I think the rat rod thing took off like it did. It was like a low barrier to entry for most people. They could get in there and express themselves and build something cool and go drive it.
Right.
And it's like those people graduate on to other things a lot of times, or they stay with that. That's fine too. But I think you're right.
The tuner car movement, it's not going away.
No.
But we're seeing the paint jobs change quite a bit.
Right.
The early Fast and Furious paint jobs are no longer. Now they're getting a little more subtle and tasteful and clean. Right. But I think you're starting to see the maturity of that scene, and it's changing. And hey, I'm all about a twin cam. If it's done upright and looks right. There was one that Alex from Detroit Speed spotted at Syracuse in a 70 Camaro. It's running a Nissan power plant in a Camaro. Who does that?
Yeah.
You know what?
We've talked. Noah and I have talked about like a 2J. Swap and so I don't know.
We just want to I'm like, where's our customer who wants to just get really weird with something? Because that's the direction we would happily go in. Yeah. It's hard to find customers. That crazy stuff is usually built by passionate individuals, right?
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
So back to SEMA.
Awkward silence while I take a drink.
Well, I was letting you swallow that so you don't spit your beer out.
Yeah.
I wanted you to tell everybody how you were dressed last year at SEMA.
Oh, last year we just had dress pants, vests, red ties, and we wore a wool hat and sweated our butts off the whole time. And the whole idea was the old '60s kind of car hop theme in Europe. Yeah. And it's kind of neat. Germany, they want to bring some of that European feel because it's a European company, it's a German company, and so it's kind of neat. They really connect with American culture, but they have their twist on it.
Yeah.
And so last year we did a diner style gun for a special edition gun. It had a waitress on roller skates and had a guy on the back that looked like Colonel Sanders, only in a diner garb, with red and white stripes. Yeah. Turns out that dude was from Canada, and it was elusive clip art that we got. But he was freaking out that he made it on the side of a paint gun, so he thought that was awesome. But and then this year we've got a hippie themed gun that's a special edition this year. So peace, love, and more beer. But it's they love the American culture, but they like showing off what they do.
Well, I think it's really cool how you guys will change the theme up, in a booth, because most of us in this industry go to SEMA year after year after year, right?
Yeah.
We walk by the booth and it's like, yeah, it's cool. We look for the new products, but if you can have new products and then like have a theme to it, it draws you in. It's fun.
It does.
Right?
It is fun, and everybody comes over. I had one guy trying to make fun of me last year because, of course, I'm a big guy, so I'm a big walking, talking billboard of style, and he's making fun of how hot it's got to be being in it. And this lady steps up and she goes, I think they look absolutely amazing, and I would be proud to own Sata spray guns because of the way they put on their booth this year. And I'm thinking, holy crap, we're making that kind of impact with this stuff. So that's cool. And, and that booth is so neat because it is evolving, and we're not always looking for the same vehicles over and over again. We want stuff that represents what we're doing. And it's so weird hearing builders say, well, one of my two favorite booths that I want to get into is this paint manufacturer and that Sata booth. I really want in that Sata booth because we're right in front of a doorway. So when that door opens up Tuesday morning and all these people come pouring in, you all of a sudden go from 0 to 150 people standing in I think it's like a 40 by 80 booth.
Right.
So, or 60 by, I think it's actually bigger. I think it's like 60 by 80. And it's
and it's
unreal.
one of those booths too you can spend a bunch of time in because you guys have all little pieces that have been painted and all stuff like that's really cool, right?
There's a lot of stuff
going on.
Yeah, a lot of stuff
going on.
Yeah.
The custom artists that we bring in, like Franny Drum at Paint Zoo, man, that dude is so off the hook. If you want to see some of the baddest ass goalie masks in the NHL today and in college hockey, you got to check out Paint Zoo, and he's doing it with Sata products, and it's such an honor. I pick on Franny because he's from Philly, so that Eastern Western PA thing, I just remind him that we are the city of champions when it comes to Pennsylvania, But he's super talented. So watching him, Ray Hill, a lot of people don't know who Ray Hill is, and it's so sad because Ray's living in Spain now, works all over Europe, but he had worked for Chip Foose for a long time.
Okay.
And he built with Chip, and he helped with paint and whatnot, but Ray paints these really badass murals on lorry trucks over in Europe. And he does it all with an airbrush. At least our airbrush gun, a Jet 20B. And when you see these things, if you check him out on Instagram at Spray Hill, he's just amazing, and he can work in two colors. That's all the more he needs is two colors, and he can set the world on fire with it. You got him, Christian Bana, Hal Liu, Mickey Harris, Nub from Nub's Graphics. We get all these really cool customers, and that's the best part is that they're not using Sata because we give them Sata. They're buying their Satas. They're doing all that stuff. They're just natural Sata believers, and that's the fun part is that they want to be there. Ray every year he's like, do I have a spot for next year? And he pays for his airfare to come over from Europe and everything else to do it. So which one's better, the Bearded Iris or the Sky Rat?
I like the Bearded Iris.
Nice.
It's
Cool.
good.
Yeah, it's a little mellower.
It's great.
Absolutely. There's diversity.
Nothing will blow your eyeballs out of your head like this lacto
can you
cooler.
talk about this year?
No, I can't.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
going to be good. I can tell you that. It's going to be
good. The outfits, like
it's always cool. It's going to be fun. Well, I don't even know what new products we have coming. I think they did that on purpose. They heard that I'm coming to your podcast, so they won't tell me. So yeah,
hush.
Yeah.
Nobody will.
No outfits may be revealed.
Nothing. We can't talk about anything. So, but the cool part is that it's guaranteed to make people smile, and we'll have cool stuff in the booth.
The outfits are. I don't think there's another. Maybe there's another. I can't think of another booth in all of SEMA with costumes.
I appreciate that. I will say. I mean, again, I have to deal with all paint manufacturers.
Right.
PPG puts on a pretty good booth.
PPG and you guys have, in my opinion, the most interesting, well thought out.
Well, and
sorry, Tina.
And to support Tina, I'm going to tell you right now, you want to be in the BASF booth this year. Franny just hooked up with BASF, and he did something just over the top in the BASF booth. It's, in fact, the hairs on my arms are standing up thinking about it. Again, I can't really talk about it. Tina will kill me. But
they always have incredible cars in there.
Yeah. what's going to be anchoring that booth, Franny did, and it was just kind of really to honor Tina. He loves this relationship with BASF and being a part of what all you guys are doing with it. It's kind of a no-brainer. Yeah. So this piece is going to be a one-off original piece that's going to spend a lot of time being shown off for BASF.
Is it a vehicle?
No.
Oh,
no,
really?
it's
is
a
it a statue of Tina?
I hope so.
That's painted?
I hope so. God, I hope so. It's his version of the Tina Lisa.
Tina Lisa.
Is there anybody in this industry that works harder than her?
Oh my God, wow.
I mean,
Tina hustles.
Yeah,
you'll call her and her voicemail might be full, but I think that was just from the hour before. Like,
right.
I think gets that planned. Many calls. Like, that woman.
I think it's planned. Actually, she doesn't want to listen to voicemails because it slows her down.
Yeah,
if you called, she'll call you back, kind of thing. But the thing I like about Tina, and you see this a lot within the paint world, is relationships. Right. That's everything to Tina is a relationships with all the customers, and she just really loves and has that huge passion for what she's doing and the brand, and places like you guys, and it's so much fun, and everybody will go, they only use BASF because they get free paint. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Talk to the people. No. That's not how it happens.
No, we buy paint and we buy it because we love it, right? And we like and Tina and all the other support staff too. I mean, they're all really good. They come out. I think
that's crazy. I don't think anybody would use paint because it's free.
Right.
Yeah. They're going to use paint because it works well for them, because they like
it. It should be, right?
After all the work goes into that car, the paint's got to look perfect.
Right.
You can't screw that up. So you're going to use what works really, really, really well.
Well, that's like the first thing you see, right? When you walk up to a vehicle.
Nobody's going to sell out on paint. You can't see
the body filler. Nope. Yeah. It's the paint. And for me, it's funny because people say, well, why, what paint manufacturer do you like the best? Which one do you think the best? They're all great. They just have people that deal with people. And that's really where it comes down to the big thing. I can pick out people within all the paint manufacturers that, man, this is the person you want to deal with.
Right.
And their passion for their brand and getting out and helping you guys, the shops, is huge. You just have to find what paint manufacturer has the best representation in your area that's going to help you and stand by you through and through.
It kind of gets on the technical side of things. It depends on what kind of booth you have, what kind of painter you are,
absolutely.
all these things. So it's like certain products, while they're good, may not be for you.
Absolutely.
So you have to try this stuff.
One clear coat works great in a downdraft. One works great in a cross draft.
Right.
Now put you in a semi down or a semi cross.
Yeah.
Man, all of a sudden, neither one of them work great. Yeah, it all changes, and that's the big thing, is the paint companies are pushing so hard right now to evolve our industry, and I think it's easier now to teach somebody how to be a painter because of the quality of the paints. But it's funny when they got to go back and shoot a lacquer job, and they kind of look at you and go, "So what do I have to do there?" Right. And I'm like, "What's the biggest gun do you have?"
It's like going into a new Chevy dealership and telling one of the service guys to work on a carburetor. You're like, "What's that?
Can you set my points?"
Right.
What do you mean by points? Do you have a matchbook? What's a matchbook? Yeah, no doubt. And so it's all evolving. But yeah, Tina, she's awesome. I know she does a great job for you guys and loves you guys. So I told her that you guys were going to put me on the podcast, and she goes, "Oh, now I have to actually listen to it." No, just joking, Tina.
No, now you actually have to be on the podcast.
Now Tina will.
Tina has to be. Yeah, absolutely. She can counteract all the damage I've done.
We haven't done any damage yet, though.
No, we're good.
I feel like I've been taking notes. I have one damage note. We're gonna go back and. No, I'm just kidding. It's been good.
Absolutely. Nah, she's awesome. The brand's awesome. But like I said, I got to be careful there, because they all have something. You just you got to know who to deal with and who to talk to, and she's always out there. That's the other cool part. You go to a car show, it's not the local guys putting on the booth. It's Tina sitting right there at the booth talking to you and really promoting her brand. Yeah. So yeah, she's a hard working woman right there. So,
yeah, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. All right, awkward silence.
No, it's good.
I'm going for a drink.
We're going for a drink.
Oh.
Yeah, awkward silence is just good drinking.
Yeah, it's a chance to drink.
So this is a double IPA.
That's a double IPA. This is double IPA, and that's a soured
some crazy
Berliner Weiss.
Some crazy shit.
Yeah. So like the big thing this weekend in St. Louis is Zwanzi Day for Cantillon. And Cantillon, I drove. Well, I didn't drive. I rode in a car for 5.5 hours to get Cantillon earlier this spring, and from Stuttgart to Brussels, and it was worth every hour.
Yeah,
yeah. The next 5.5 hours coming back to Stuttgart, I kind of fell asleep, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. Because we had to really rush through. We did a few other things while we were out there, but it's one of those things. The Cantillon's epic if you're into the craft movement. Since 1909, been brewing the same way and the same rig.
It's
crazy.
Unreal.
Yeah. So a lot of old school stuff
in Brussels.
In Brussels. So which I highly recommend Brussels.
So when you're traveling around, what are the things you do besides beer? What do you have places like to try to visit? Like what's on your, all right, I've got like 4 hours to fill. What do I do?
Like restaurants?
Yeah, no, I'll be honest with you. Like being in Copenhagen, sitting in their airport, that's a really cool airport. There's a guy behind a clock that he draws lines on the clock. Every minute he moves the hands on the clock. And he doesn't just move the minute hand, he moves the hour hand to where it should be also. So he no sooner gets it done, he wipes it off and does it again. And so it's this big frosted clock face up in the wall, and you see the guy behind it actually doing it, and there's a real person standing there doing it. So if you're ever just stuck in Copenhagen,
you can watch the man clock.
Yeah, you can watch the man clock, and is
that a good job or a bad job? That seems like it'd be fun for an evening.
Yeah.
But
I wonder what kind of TSA inspection he has to go through for that. So, but the Stroop waffles are like. Yeah, McDonald's had their Stroop waffle McFlurry. It did nothing to
What's a
justify.
Stroop waffle?
Yeah.
So they're like little mini waffles with caramel and stuff packed in
man.
it. So it's like a cookie, but it clings to the roof of your mouth, and
because of the heat and also the
just the amazingness.
The amazingness.
So, they cook it with a lot of amazingness in there.
Yeah,
a lot of baking amazingness.
Is there a tiny waffle iron in which you would cook a waffle? Like
God, I hope not. I hope it's like a large one, and then it's many Stroop waffles.
Many, just like 30 of them.
There can never be a Stroop waffle shortage in this world. That would be a bad thing. There would be havoc over losing Stroop waffles. So,
I guess we shouldn't start eating them.
Yeah.
I could see myself. I could join.
What was your first experience
in Copenhagen?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Copenhagen.
They served it with my breakfast. I got 2 on the plate, and I'm like, what's
what are
this?
These?
Yeah,
appetizer.
I'm like, that's a crazy looking garnish. And the guy goes, if you're not going to eat those, can I have them? I'm like, no, not now.
The waiter
did that. No, it was another guy at another table. Yeah,
yeah.
Like, it was kind of creepy.
Yeah,
it was kind of creepy. So I knew it had to be good at that point. So
we heard another story at lunchtime. Should we talk about that? About his eating experience that he had with the hog?
Oh yeah, me messing up Hofbräu House by taking the head of a pig and dissecting it and eating it.
Yeah.
But hey, you're in Munich, Germany. You're sitting at the original Hofbräu House. If you're any kind of a beer nerd and you know anything about beer, Hofbräu House is one of those places you want to be. Germans love the way they do things, and that's right for them. But when you're going to waste the head of a hog, you can't do that. The collar, the cheek meat, the eyeballs, they're all really tasty.
The eyeballs.
Yeah, it tastes like bacon. What can I say? It's part of the pig. It tastes like bacon.
So you showed them how to properly eat the head of a pig?
I showed them how a Neanderthal would probably pull a pig head apart.
Were they just going to throw it away?
They were just going to throw it away.
Just going to throw it away.
Yeah.
So how many people were left in the restaurant when you were done?
We pretty much cleared out the 3rd floor.
You're bad for business.
The best part was there was a group of Asian people there, and they were taking pictures of it. So
you're big. I was going to say you are big.
I'm big in Japan.
I was in Japan, and you were on a billboard
with a pig head.
With a pig head smiling.
Nice.
I don't know about the smile. I was like,
there was an eyeball in his mouth.
I don't know.
There's a devilish looking
an eyeball in his mouth on a light up billboard.
Right.
Yeah.
But like for me, every time I go to Stuttgart, I have to go to the Mercedes-Benz Museum.
That's the jam.
I would love
to go there.
Yeah,
man, you go there. The cool part about it is you actually fire up to the upper level, And as soon as you get off the elevator, there's a horse there. And if you've got their earphone system,
a horse,
yeah,
live horse.
No, it's a dead horse. It's been stuffed, and you can see all the stitching and everything.
Did you take the head off of that one and try to eat that?
No, I can't do that. That's I raised horses, so I draw a line somewhere. But it starts out talking about horseless carriages in the beginning of that. And
you're about to say headless horses.
Yeah, headless horses.
We got you.
Yeah, you did.
You keep drinking.
It's almost
that
time. Yeah. But you walk in, you see the very first Daimler, and you see the very first Mercedes, and then you start working your way down. But the cool part about the museum is it has a timeline on what's going on in the world as these cars are evolving.
Oh, that's cool.
And so you get to see everything from the early 1900s all the way to today. And you get to see the prototype cars. So what's now like that really badass Maybach that looks like a hybrid SLR or SLS out there. I actually got to see that the first time I went over. And I can tell you that every one of those in liquid metal is blotchy. So sitting at the factory museum, I'm sitting the model.
Don't beat yourself up, guys, if you're trying to fix this.
Yeah, they're blotchy from factory, so don't deal with it. So, I didn't even have to put on polarized sunglasses, but you get to. As you're going down, you get to see the one test track that they have.
Is it a spiral?
Yeah,
Did
it's
you already
a spiral.
say that?
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah. It's.
I was thinking.
Yeah. So, and there'll be one room off to the side, so you can see like the car that Mercedes-Benz gave to Princess Diana that the royal family made her give back. She was only allowed to drive it when she was in Germany. The Pope mobile's there, you know.
Oh, wow,
so
cool.
all these super cool cars.
The Pope usually drives a Benz, right?
Well, the Pope has to be in the Benz, you know, because God created Benz. So as far as I'm concerned, so that's the only one that God gave his blessing to. But no, you get to see the test track there, and then you also get to see the viewing area where they'll put cars down in the bottom of this bowl, and it's got stadium style seating, and they'll sit there and look at the cars and gain inspiration and whatnot. And you know, you see the passion for the design of these cars and how much that car means to those people. And then as you're riding around, you can tell the families that are from that area, because if your grandfather drove a Mercedes-Benz, the chances are you're going to drive a Mercedes-Benz. But if your father was poor and you could only afford a Skoda, you're probably going to still drive Skodas. They're really family first on we're a Porsche family, we're a Mercedes family. And it's kind of funny with that stuff that you see that over there. But that one's good. The Porsche Museum, it's always cool because it's a lot of their racing legacy.
Right.
And you get to see all these raw hand-beaten bodies sitting there, and you see the rivets and everything else, and you just kind of get lost in the hand-built concept of these cars. And then it goes into the fiberglass on the prototype cars for Le Mans and stuff like that, and you start seeing them in raw fiberglass and what it took to build one and how unsafe those things were. You know, no wonder so many people have died at Le Mans,
right?
You know, so but it's just an amazing environment for all of that. You know, and just walking around places like Munich and Stuttgart, it's so neat. They didn't drop a bunch of that stuff after the World War. They rebuilt a lot of it, repaired it, and it's there. Stuttgart has a hill that is nothing but all the debris from Stuttgart. They decided to pile it all up in one area, covered it with dirt, and now it has an alternative energy windmill on it. But but that's actually there to remind them of what happens when you do what happened back in the day, you know. So all of old Stuttgart is in one pile. So it's a big pile.
Let's not do that again.
No.
Yeah, let's not do that again. Just look there. But yeah, those areas are awesome. I got to do Paris earlier this year, and great architecture, great food. You can have it. I'm okay. Paris isn't for me. It's not a car kind of town. No. So I saw some Lamborghinis and a couple Ferraris, but you know, for me, I'm a big car guy.
You probably can't drive them like you could if you were in Germany, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Autobahn in Germany has the unregulated speeds. Probably the coolest one for me though was the first trip over. We were in Dachau, where one of the concentration camps were, and we spent some time over there, and I hear something coming up this hill. It was a cobblestone road, and I looked at one of the other guys that was on the trip with us, and I said, "Man, that sounds like a Ford V8 coming up over the hill." And he's like, "What?" And I said, "That sounds like a Ford 302." And sure enough, it was a 1972 Mustang Coupe.
Really?
Yeah, green Mustang Coupe, and it still had the point system in it, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
Here's one of the military guys brought it over to Germany And then when he left it there. And this German bought it, and he was driving it. It was missing. And I'm like, I can fix that for you. Yeah. I keep referencing points because my first car was a 73 Mustang with a 302. And I just know that car like the back of my hand, and I could still work on that car to this day. And it was so funny. He's putzing up through town, and my eyes were like super wide and bugging out. So he pulled over, and I'm looking at it, and all it is just a Grande,
right?
C4 automatic.
But you don't see a lot.
No,
like you rarely see them.
Yeah, and it was ugly. I'm looking at the picture of the Nomad, but it was the uglier pea green with pea green interior in it.
People didn't like that color. We liked it.
Yeah, I dug it. So it was different. It jumped out at you.
Oh yeah, it's different.
But yeah, no, and so it was kind of cool. You see that 72 Ford Mustang that you're not expecting, because over there you're just now starting to see Mustangs pop up.
Yeah.
And so you see a 5-liter Mustang rolling down the road. It's it's pretty cool.
That's kind of cool to see that in Germany.
But then when you get passed by a Hemi powered Dodge Ram 3500, you're like, what?
Where did that come from?
Yeah, because most of the streets are too narrow for something like that,
right?
So you don't see a ton of them. But you'll see your Corvettes, you'll see certain American cars, but you're not seeing a ton of them. And yeah,
we've sold a ton of classic American cars over to Germany.
Yeah,
so
they like
mostly. Yeah, they like. Well, in my experience, GTOs.
Yeah. Well,
Mustangs,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Mustangs are a must. Yeah.
And Challengers.
Air-cooled Porsches, too.
I sold a lot of it. So, because there was a time when the dollar was in such terrible shape, not that long ago, which we should not forget.
Right.
That like 65% of the cars we sold went over to Europe.
Yeah.
And they were buying them for what was a really good deal.
Yeah.
And as soon as it wasn't a really good deal,
right,
those sales kind of went away.
Yeah.
But the U.S. buyers, bought them again, which was good. But we sold a lot of. But that's the other, like air-cooled Porsches. I sold a lot of air-cooled Porsches to Germany.
You would think that they would have plenty, right? That they wouldn't.
What's the problem?
They don't have ours.
Yeah,
they don't have ours.
They got the bumpers are wrong.
Right.
Yeah, usually
there was different standards, so a lot of that stuff switched over, and that was the cool part. The product manager for Sata, he took me over to the Porsche reconditioning studio. So every Porsche lease vehicle, anything that's coming into Porsche to be a certified restoration goes through that shop. So that was kind of cool. It's not very big, but you're just kind of hanging out there watching cars getting worked on and stuff, and seeing how they do it in Germany. And I'm sitting there going, man, you used to do this? And he's like, yeah, I'm kind of over Porsche. And I'm like, what do you mean you're over it? And he's like, well, once you work on so many of them, it is what it is. But I'm like, yeah, but you touched that car. And he's like, yeah, I did the restoration on that. And it's like, oh my God, I'm geeking out over it. And we kind of forget that you can work on the same car over and over again so many times and you get burned out.
Yeah.
But he sat back and he's like, I worked on some pretty legendary cars. So it's there's even better than that one that I got to work on. And I'm like,
doesn't Mercedes have their own restoration shop too?
Yeah. So that it's so neat when you go over there too. It's like a painter over there. They have to wear a paint suit. So as soon as they walk in, they get in their paint suit, they wear it until they go to lunch. And then they have to put it back on when they come back from lunch. It's their uniform. They can't work on a car without having a paint suit. So their standards are super high on certain things. So a body tech will wear a certain outfit, and and they have to wear that, or else they can't work in the shop. So pretty cool stuff there. Yeah, it's an interesting atmosphere. So
if you want to be in our shop,
it's
really important that you wear a t-shirt.
Yeah. See, I don't have one yet. I haven't.
We can help you out.
I haven't doled the money out. Yeah,
we can help you out.
I was a little worried you'd sell them at like $10 more for the 3 XLTs, like most places do.
No. They're all. We have one price.
One price. All right. We'll work a shady backdoor deal.
We doesn't have to be shady.
We'll trade you for beer.
Yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed those. That's
very good.
Yeah.
No, that was awesome. Yeah, these are
just
delicious.
A small sampling of my world. So that's I'd have brought the bourbon age stouts, but we'd have had a really terrible conversation.
Yeah.
So there would have been a lot of slurring.
It would have gone downhill
What
quickly,
percentage
really
of those?
quickly. Well, considering the other night I drank 4 that were 11%.
Wow.
Yeah, 11% and above. So, and they were all fantastical and magical. So, but then you get the sugar shock the next day. It was a lot of sugar.
A lot of sugar.
Yeah. They don't ferment everything out because they're so high in sugar.
Right.
So it's so when you get them, they're rich and
they're rich.
Maybe it's borderline alcohol poisoning. I don't know. That is a lot in beer world. Yeah. So for 12 to 16 ounce pours of 11%.
I can do a few of those, but they're so. It's not the alcohol that gets me.
2 is it for me. I'm done at that.
Yeah, it's so rich.
Yeah,
it's so sweet.
Such a rich flavor. Yeah. But like the one I had was from Evil Twin, who's I guess you would consider him a ghost brewer. They don't really have a location, and they use a lot of different breweries to brew their stuff, and it was bananas and maple syrup. And it's
they get crazy with those things.
And I'm sitting there going, okay, I don't know how this is going to go, but what the hell, I'm game. And man, it was solid. It was rich. Yeah, I call it like a pastry stout because it's a dessert. Not,
dessert, right?
It's an event, not a drink.
Right.
Yeah. But then you get into like Voodoo does a lot of stuff with like Pappy Van Winkle and
really,
and a lot of different other barrels that they work with. And man, you get into their Big Black Voodoo Daddy stuff. And
that's my nickname.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There you go. I see it. I
you
really do. I really, yeah.
Because
what's the beer that Brian, producer Brian, is all into? Black Tuesday? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's called the brewery.
The brewery. Yeah. Black Monday.
No,
or Black Tuesday.
Black Tuesday.
Yeah, Black Tuesday. Yeah.
Are you a member of many beer clubs? Do you do that?
No, I don't do beer clubs.
I feel like that beer club thing.
I'm a
popular.
beer sharer.
Sure.
Yeah, I really am. I'd much rather trade beers than buy beers.
Well, that's our producer Brian that did our show. He's a total beer geek. I mean, he's got a big commercial refrigerator in his garage full of stuff. And when he would come into St. Louis, he would bring beers from California with him.
Right.
And then he would meet people here and trade them for, side project beers and things like that. So,
in fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I have a regular Black Tuesday in my refrigerator back home, but I've had the barrel aged, and that's super solid. It's a butt kicker, so it'll get you where you want to be depending on where you want to go. So.
Speaking of beer, we're going to cut off this podcast right now.
That's awesome.
And immediately go over to Side Project. Which
I'm so excited about Side Project.
We're going to go. Corey King over at Side Project is going to give us a tour. And
that's so epic. I'm so excited.
They make really, really, really good sours if you're into that.
You may need to like somehow subdue me because I'll be like a little kid in there. I'm really looking forward to this one. So it's
awesome.
We talked about it in Columbus and talking to other people. I really got ramped up on Side Project.
Yeah.
Sweet.
The tour is only $1,000 cash.
Is that it?
Yeah. Most of it goes to us, but I don't know.
That's all right. I'll pay for
Corey.
2 then.
Okay. All right, let's do it.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Cheers.
Cheers.